All right, Homesteader family, welcome back to the journey and welcome to this edition of the Sunday Monday vlog. We got Minnie Mouse over there on the couch, Max just below her, and Chubbers just to the left of him. And we've got Mickey Mouse back here sleeping on the ground. So I'm in here, I'm watching a episode of Hoarders and wanted to do the kind of Sunday Monday vlog. I know it's Tuesday. It's not technically Sunday or Monday, but I decided to go ahead and name it Sunday Monday vlog anyhow, just so I can keep with tradition. And I was going to do it a different title, but I figured the Sunday Monday vlog just worked because I'm going to go over everything that's been happening, just like a Sunday Monday vlog. And I'm going to go over some new updates, some new challenges, some pain in the butt things that are occurring, and just what's going on here at the restaurant, what's going on over at the homestead, and everything that's just happening. So the weather has been super hot here, hence the cowboy hat, the straw hat that has big holes to get air up top to cover my ears, because our UV index has been in the 11s, which is extremely high. Very high is the 9 and 10, and then 11 and 12 are the extremely high. And we've been sitting in the 11s for several days now. So that sun just beats down on my ears, and it's hot, and I want to protect my ears. And the straw hat helps wick a lot of the moisture away, helps keep my head a little bit cooler. Keeps my body temperature down a little bit, and offers a little more shade with the brim going all the way around. Not doing too much at the homestead right now. It's just 100 plus degrees every day with the heat index. Some days are 97, 98, 99. And then we're getting ready this week, later this week. We've got a couple days that are going to be in the hundreds, which means the heat index is going to be even higher. So very hot, not much to get done. I went over today. I felt bad for the animals yesterday. I didn't go feed them, but they're all still fat and happy, even though I didn't feed them. Gave them a little extra feed today. I did install a wheel on the gate. Oh yeah, wait for this 7Xs. I'm also gonna go outside in a moment, and I'm going to go over some the things that are going to happen and the plumbing that I didn't make a video about, so everybody can see the plumbing. No, Grizzly One, the ticks do not go dormant in the heat. They're not as prevalent when it's extremely hot or during the sunny part of the day, but I go out there and there's ticks. You don't get away from ticks. And in Arkansas, you have about a month in the entire year where you might not see a tick. Pretty much, I can see ticks 12 months a year here in Arkansas. They're not as prevalent during the winter months, but you still can get ticks during the winter here in Arkansas because we don't get that cold. But yeah, so ticks, heat, everything else. So with 7Xs popping in there, I'm going to go ahead. I'll go outside. My phone might pixelate or whatever with reception stuff, how YouTube works. But I'm going to go over. I'll go over inside the house here first, and then I'll come back in and talk some more. But that wall of shelving was all the way out here to these cabinets shelvings. I went ahead and pushed that back just to open up the room a little bit bigger. Also brought the Christmas tree over. So that's a big update. Christmas is coming. So can't wait for Christmas. Can still get them up here in the winter. Not just as active. Yep, same here. 7Xs. So I went ahead, all my grandfather's stuff and my stuff, I piled into a cubby hole. I made this 4-foot by 12-foot area and just piled everything here. I should have went through it when I was moving it, but I'm just trying to get things cleaned up in here. And then this area here, that's just all the dog food. So you can see the dogs don't starve. They got plenty of food sitting there. So this is a nice open area right there. And then I went ahead, I started pulling all the shelves off the walls over here. Now, for those of you that have been watching the channel for a while, especially in the last year when I got this restaurant, just over a year, the air conditioner unit that's back over there next to the TV, when I ripped all these shelves that I have here, all these shelves that are holding my stuff, when they were against that wall where the AC was, it was a mess. And the reason was because whoever installed the AC units in this building, when before I had it, whoever installed them, the walls are over 6 inches thick. And they put the ACs hanging on the inside of the building. So you have over 6 inches of surface inside the wall that the AC condensates and supposed to be dripping on the outside of the building. So when you install window units in windows, you put it on the outside of the window, on the outside edge, not inside. So because of that, this is what happens. It's been running for years. Now, this doesn't look anything as bad as what it was yesterday when I pulled the shelving units off, because I sprayed this down with bleach. So a lot of this has already cleaned up. You can see like over here, way over here, and right back here. You can still see the markings of the mold and everything. Luckily, it's not black mold. It's brown and green before I even sprayed it. So I don't have black mold. I cleaned out a bunch of hoarder houses years ago, so I know black mold, you don't want to mess with that. So the green and brown mold's not as bad. Sprayed it with bleach. It's slowly shriveling up and getting away. But I will be tearing these walls out. And then because this kitchen is so messed up, I went ahead, I started getting everything off the shelves here, because I'm going to be ripping this whole room apart and redoing everything. And so I went ahead with bleach wipes, wiped dust down, everything else, reorganized all my food, my teas, my herbs, everything else on these shelves. Got my stacks of water there. And then I went ahead, I got the new 1-inch PEX pipe and some 3/4 inch PEX pipe. And then I know Arkansas doesn't get cold like Colorado, but I went ahead and got the insulation for the 1-inch pipe, because when I bury it, it's going to add a little added protection. So if somebody goes to dig or something, you hit the insulation before you hit the pipe, which should help not busting the pipe. I just got to check, make sure I close that gate so the dogs don't come out. So we're going to go outside. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. And then I also started doing all my tools. I've got boomers that are working on their tools. So I got all the brand new gloves hung up. I got all the DeWalt's, the spray paint, the paint rollers, hammers, wrenches, screwdrivers, drill bits, all that type of stuff. And then all the way down at the end, all the different stuff for the animals, the weed eater, and then all the tools. So slowly but surely getting everything reorganized. And the main reason is I want everything off this wall. The reason I want everything off this wall, just like the other wall, is because as soon as I have the money, I'm going to be stripping the inside wall and the outside wall and redoing this whole building. All this electric that you see, you know, the wires just hanging, dangling all over the place. You know, just boxes dangling off the wall. That's how everything was done here. I'm going to be ripping all the electric out, all the plumbing out like this. You know, they cut pipe, plastic pipe, and just screwed plastic pipe over wires. And they had wires going all over the place. Not how you're supposed to do electrical. Not how you're supposed to do plumbing. So I'm going to be redoing that. Same thing with outside outlets. That's not a waterproof outlet. No insulation or nothing, bugs, whatever can get inside. And so I'm going to be redoing all that. Now to the plumbing that I had the issues with. I didn't just make a video the other day, but when I shut down the snowball business, I had looked out the window, and it's a good thing I looked out the window when I did, because the main water line blew and water was pissing out real quick. So this is what I want to show you. So here are my meter boxes. And I'll go ahead, I'll open these up and I'll show you what I'm going to be doing over this next month, month and a half, and talk about some new changes on things I'm going to do. So I have the meter box here. That's the shut off for the whole building. And then over here is a pressure valve. So if the main line gets a bunch of pressure, it doesn't blow out all the lines inside the restaurant. However, because everything inside the restaurant is old and not done properly, it doesn't work. So, and then this is how the county comes out, or the water company, and they blow out the line because I'm the end of the line. So there's my meter boxes. There's my restaurant. The line goes that way down towards the side of the building. Now I'm going to show you, before, underneath the floor, I showed you the 1-inch line that looks like it comes from this side, comes across out to the water spigot, and that's not the case. So the water's all the way over there. So I walk across the building. I'm coming all the way down here on the other side of the building, all the way back here to the back. And for whatever reason, they ran the lines all the way around the building. So, excuse me. So this line right here is what blew. All the pieces blew apart. So the water is coming from this line coming up and then going into the restaurant. So the 1-inch line that goes all the way across to the other side of the building, I guess is capped and doesn't go to the water line. So how this line, whether it's all the way to the front and then across the front of the restaurant, or all the way to the back, across the back, and then up the other side, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trench from those boxes down the other side of the restaurant, and I'm going to tap in through the wall, and I'm going to run all new 1-inch PEX line that will have the insulation over it. And then I'll go ahead and put in a PEX junction box that will have different spigots. I can run spigot to the bathtub, run a line to the sink, to the back room, etc., etc., etc. So that's going to be what I'm going to be doing over the next week or so. Then, for those of you that knew the snowball business, that is all gone. That is taken care of. That is closed. I'm done with the snowball business. Let me flip the camera around. So the outside of the building, you can see it's just old. It needs just to be torn off, resurfaced, refaced. So that's what I'm going to be doing. These propane lines, I need to come out here. I need to cut this all off. They just had the propane lines like that, which went over here in the grass where the old propane tank used to be. So I'm going to cut those off, get that taken care of. And then the great thing, I've been over here eating these thornless blackberries. They are so good. And I have so many of them. So Steve's going to help do cuttings or transplanting. And we're going to get a bunch of the thornless blackberries moved over to the homestead. Because we're going to do massive gardens this next year. And you can see there's just so many of them. So that's one of the main projects that's happening over the next month and a half is I'm going to be doing the water line here. And I'm also going to be buying more fencing because my hay just went up in price again. So every load is now $400 a load for hay. So that equates to $10,000 a year now for the animals just in hay. That don't include the sweet feed, that don't include the salt blocks, that don't include the baking soda, that don't include any medicine they need or veterinarian care or anything like that. So if you're homesteading or if you're not homesteading, you need to get ready because prices are getting ready to go up again. Everybody thinks inflation's coming down and things are getting cheaper again, and we're just getting into that lull. always seem to be gone. What was bad in the early spring? The blackberries? Okay. You have to let me know, Grizzly One, your first comment about the Sierras, what was bad in the early spring. Oh, the ticks. Yeah, the ticks have been horrendous this year. We're not even, well, we haven't been in seed tick season yet. Seed tick season here starts like the first, second week of July, so we're not even into July. And the 100 plus temperatures aren't normally until July. So this year's been totally different. But I've already had a bunch of seed ticks where I've been out there working. I've come back and pulled 70, 80 ticks off of me just for being out on the homestead for a couple hours. So yeah, ticks are definitely bad this year, but I mean, they're bad every year. But if you're not in the humid climates like Colorado, I never had any tick issues in Colorado. Didn't have the fly issues, didn't have the mosquito issues. Mosquitoes here aren't bad. We do have some mosquitoes. I do get some bumps every now and then, but you don't even feel the mosquitoes here. So they're so small. Their bite is so small. You just come up with a red bump and you know a mosquito bit you. But now that snowball business is closed and taken care of, that's going to give me more time to work on a homestead. However, like I said, with the extreme hot temperatures, I'm not doing too much except watching TV right now and working in here. I stayed up till 4 o'clock this morning working in here, and I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning the day before cleaning in here. So I'm doing what I can to get everything organized, get everything prepared. I don't want to tear the walls off right now. I might do that later this fall. I'm not 100% sure because my main goal is with hay prices going up and feed prices going up, and I know gas and diesel are getting ready to soar again because a couple new laws and stuff that's been passed and other countries cutting back on production. But as soon as fuel goes up, everything's going to go up even more. And they're talking about beef prices are getting ready to jump because cattle are at the lowest position in 40 plus years since the 60s, or 60 years since the 60s, something like that. Just so many things are coming together. So my main goal right now is I got to get the next pen done. So I'm putting at least 2/3 of my money into that. However, now I'm taking a third of that, 3/3, and I'm putting a third into plumbing to redo the plumbing here. Why? Since that line blew, I replaced, as you saw, everything was pecked together, but there's still a leak somewhere underground. I assume since it blew out over there and the ground is still moist over there with how hot it is, it's somewhere down below ground. And there's no point in me digging up the ground there to try to find a leak if it's not there and it's farther, another 50 feet up the line, when I can just go ahead, dig over here, bring the line right along the same side of the building, put in brand new line, do the digging anyhow, and I know I have brand new line, and that solves the issue. The meter's still running, but my water bill last month was $90, and I just got my bill for this past month, and it's now $74. So my water's not as expensive. However, that's also because I'm not hauling as much water from the restaurant, because we got those several big storms where I got water in that hole in the back of my property and was able to fill the IBC totes and fill up the animal waters. So I have one more 275-gallon IBC tote right now that I'm going to haul tomorrow for the animals, and then I'll have to start hauling water from the restaurant again. However, fingers crossed, they're saying Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we have 40% or higher chances of thunderstorms. So if we do get rain, I might not have to start hauling water, but we'll see how that goes. So the pen, number one goal this year, to finish that out, to get that done before the year's over, because that's going to save me feed for the animals, because that gives them a whole new pen to eat on. The plumbing here, that's goal number 2. Goal number 3, for rest this year is possible. Start tear off. I'll have to see if I have the money to buy the pressure treated plywood for the outside of the building and then the regular plywood for the inside of the building. I'm not going to worry about finishing anything right now. That's going to be down the line. But if I can go ahead and tear off the outside, and I'll show you that real quick. I'll flip the camera back around if I don't lose this tripod. But all these gaps here from the wood, you can feel the heat right now just coming because that heat just comes right through. And then the only thing that's on the outside is a loose fitted, let me turn around this way, a loose fitted shingle sheeting, asphalt sheeting, and then you got this thin wood. And the air, because the wall's not sealed, you can see all the gaps in the holes, and then down below it's all gapped. All that air just flows right through. And I put all this foam insulation out here to try to stop some of that cold air coming in last winter when I was trying to stay warm in here, because with all these concrete floors, it's like a blast chiller inside here. But if I can tear all this 1x off and get pressure treated plywood on the outside, on this outside wall and that outside wall by this winter, that will stop a lot of the cold coming into the building, and I'll be able to burn less firewood in the stove, and that will save me a bunch of work this winter, not having to cut as much firewood, haul firewood, and do all that. So it's going to be a process. A lot of stuff's changing. Like I said before, whenever I was thinking about shutting down the snowball stand, that once the snowball stand is shut down, that would give me a lot more time on the homestead. Of course, that's always been my goal, is to get to the homestead. I don't like living here, driving back and forth. But at the same time, I've had a lot of people asking, why don't you go back to the shed? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And like I've said many times, the shed is filled with stuff. It's got mice all through the shed. So there's a lot of cleaning. That's going to be another thing later this winter when it's a lot cooler. I'm going to clean the shed out now that I moved all these shelving units and I have this storage area here. I'm going to take a bunch of cleaning wipes, and I bought a mask that has the respirators on the side so I'm not breathing in all the mouth stuff. And I'm going to slowly start cleaning stuff roughly over at the shed, load a box, bring it here. Then I'm going to deep clean it outside the front of the restaurant and then bring it in here to store it. So my goal, I'm not sure if this is going to work, and I'm not sure. I really want to be at the homestead, and that's the hard part. And the second hard part is creature comfort. I've roughed it 3 times in my life already, and I don't want to rough it again. And having plumbing and electric here, it's really hard to get rid of that to go back to nothing again. But I'm thinking with storage here, if I can get the shed cleaned out. Now, of course, Colorado, the ranch is up on the market again as of last month, just under a month ago, because the family's going through a bad divorce, for those of you that don't know about that. So they have to sell the ranch. So I might be getting paid earlier, but I'm going to be taking a $189,000 loss if it sells earlier, because I'm not getting the interest, because I took a lower price on the ranch in order to do the owner finance, because the interest rate was going to cover it. Hey, Happy Camper, how you doing tonight? But I'm going to start cleaning out the shed when it gets cooler. That's good to hear, Happy Camper. I'm going to start trying to get the shed cleaned out when it gets cooler. And then as I have money here and there, depending on, how soon I can get the pen done. Because like I said, the quicker I get the pen done, the quicker I start saving money on some feed. And they won't eat as much hay. They won't eat as much grain because they have forage. But I'm going to try to start putting money starting like probably December, January, February, if I can, into the shed. And I'm going to try to get some small solar maybe, or I might not even do solar. I might just I've been looking at the Generac home generator, and it's a lot more expensive than electric bill that I'm paying here, of course, because electric here in Arkansas is a lot cheaper. But the Generac generator, if I got that and a battery bank and 4 went solar panels, I can run the generator to charge the battery, so I don't have to run the generator as long to get it down to what I'm paying a month here, which is like $100 and some a month for the electric bill. And then that would give me power over there. And then the next thing would be I would need gutters and water pump filters, all that type of stuff. So I'm going to try to start getting the shed cleaned out. Maybe start trying to get the shed where it's possible livable, and then I might try to move into the shed at some point, but that's no guarantee. But that is a goal of I'm trying to, if I can slowly build things up over there where it's ready to live in, then I can live in the shed, cut the utilities here, finish doing the building here, but it all depends on my money circumstances as well. Because like I said, if the rental house doesn't sell in Marshall, if the ranch in Colorado doesn't sell, then I won't have the money to do big projects, get battery banks, big generators, things like that. So I'm trying to work and figure everything out on how I can get to the homestead, because just being over there, not driving 6 miles there, 6 miles back, a couple times a day, sometimes 3 times a day, if I forget tools here or something like that, I'm burning a lot of gas. You know, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, it's all adding up. And that money could be going to the homestead. But like I said, at the same time, I want to be able to take a shower after being all sweaty and grimy and dirty. I want to be able to watch TV, enjoy some stuff. I'm doing good, happy camper. I would want to live in the shed to be able to be on the homestead, save me from driving back and forth. And I already have horses. No buying more horses. And I'll not buy any more animals until I'm over at the homestead. Get everything situated, all the pens built, a barn built for them, and have everything set up. So that is where I am for this week. This is where my thoughts are for the rest of the year. I hadn't planned to do the plumbing here in the building or do any type of work here in the building because I wanted to focus on the fencing. However, because I still have a leak somewhere in the line, it's not a bunch of money because my bill's only $74 for this last month, where before it was $90, but I also was hauling water. So that slow leak is going to add up. I mean, even if it's $10 a month, you know, for a year, that's $120. $120 covers 2.5 tanks of gas of driving back and forth to the homestead. So it's taking a lot more money to put in new water line, but because I want to tear this building apart to flip it, because it's got the termite damage, it's got weathered wood, it's got bad electric, bad plumbing. By putting 60, 70 grand into it, I should be able to turn around and sell this for two and a quarter or 2.5 thousand, or around $250,000 to $250,000, because it's right here on the highway, commercial property, just over 3/4 of an acre. So the water has to be done anyhow. So by putting that extra money in it now, even though I didn't want to, that will at least start saving money, because I'm sure I'm going to be here for at least another year. So that's a year's worth of saving, not having leaky piping. And then it's already done for having to do it anyhow. And then, of course, when I do the junction box back there, the PEX junction box, I'll have all the lines, but nothing will be screwed to the walls or anything like that. It will be semi-permanent, where after I finish doing the walls, then I can go ahead, anchor, and bolt everything to the walls and make everything permanent at that point. And that gets me a fresh water line, that gets me a non-leaky water line, and it gets part of the work done that needs to be done anyhow. And because it's too hot right now to do anything at the homestead, I can sit in here where it's roughly like 70 some degrees, you can hear the AC units. They run 24/7 because the building's not insulated. It's very hard to cool this building down, but it's a lot cooler than it is outside. So since it's too hot to be at the homestead, I can at least come out here with the trenching shovel, do a foot or two of dirt, come in here, sit down, cool down, relax, drink some soda, because we know aliens don't drink water, go back out and do a little more. So I'm doing what I can with what I have, when I can, how I can, because it's too hot to work over there. So might as well get the work done here instead of sitting here not doing any work at all. Well, yeah. Happy Camper, if you haven't been following, this is a restaurant I bought just to live in temporarily. When me and my ex split, I needed a place to go because she had her house and I bought this to move in to live in. So the animals are not here. They're out on the 120 acres on the homestead. I need to start saying 85 acres. Because the homesteading family is working on getting their 30. Steve's got his 5 acres. So they're on my 85 acres. So the animals aren't going to be moving anywhere. The goal is to sell the different properties. The ranch in Colorado, I still haven't got the money from that because I'm doing the owner finance. And then the restaurant here that I'm living in. The rental house is only $40,000. So that's not going to build me a new house. This is not going to build me a new house until I have the money to put into this. So everything is waiting on the Colorado money from my ranch. If it sells shortly, I'll have the money to build a house on the homestead or fix this building up and sell this building. So when I sell the restaurant, get this fixed up and sold, then I'll be moving on to the homestead where the animals are, and that's where I'm going to build my permanent house. The shed idea is I moved into the shed when I first came out here because I didn't have any money. That was the only place I could live, so I bought a shed to live in. So what I'm contemplating right now is moving into the shed temporarily, like I'm living here temporarily, and shut the utilities and everything off here to save money to try to get more things done on the homestead. Happy Camper, if you haven't owned a horse, you don't understand. A horse is a lot more than putting gas in my pickup truck. My pickup truck is a lot cheaper. How much does electric cost per kilowatt? Mine just went up 31 cents, average of 0.42. Grizzly, I believe, I'm not 100% sure because Steve was looking at it for my solar because he's figuring out for doing my off-grid system. But I believe here in Searcy County where I am, St. Joe, Arkansas, it's 13 cents a watt through Entergy. So if you want to look up Entergy prices, you can verify it. But I believe it's either 13 or 14 cents a kilowatt, which is cheaper than most places across the U.S. Steve didn't believe me that it was that cheap, and I sent him a copy of my electric bill, and he was just blown away how cheap it is. However, I'm still paying around $150 a month, and that's because they had the connect fee, they had the service fee, they have all these other fees. So out of my $150, I'm only burning through, I think, $30 or $40 in electricity, and the rest are all the surcharges and fees and everything they add on to it. So overall, it might not be cheaper than other states if you add all that, where other states might not have all that. But right now I'm paying anywhere between $120 and $150 a month. Now that I shut the snowball business down, I'm not going to be running the ice machine, the snowball maker, all the neon lights and all that stuff outside to advertise. That's going to cut my electric bill back down. So I should get back down to between 70 and 90 for just using my TV here. And then I've changed out lights. And that's another thing too that I did do over the last 2 days where I've been staying up till 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning. Is everybody saw these when I bought the building that I was talking about. the good old tube lights. All these tube lights that take up a lot of electricity. So I went ahead and got rid, well, didn't get rid of all the tube lights, but what I did was I hung this string of lights and got LED bulbs, and I went every other socket to give me the light in here. So you can see I got plenty of light. It's a little dark in the middle because I don't have anything going down there. But this is the hallway to get to the front door, and then I can see my food. The storage area, I don't care about having light in the storage area. And then I did the LED string in there that's been there forever since I did that. But I did change this out. That's going to start saving me money because before I've been using these tube lights. So that's going to cut down on electricity as well. So little by little, I'm going to get there. But like I said, big changes, big things happening. More focus on trying to get to the homestead. And definitely this fall, I'm going to be working on the gardens. So next year, this homesteader will have a garden, no matter what it takes. That's great. I was 11 cents before the forest fires that started. Oh, forest fires caused a lot of issues for a lot of people. So hopefully you didn't lose anything. I know several people that ended up losing stuff in different fires, including out in Colorado. So especially up in the Springs, Black Forest area, they lost a lot of stuff, and they're just finally starting to rebuild and get nice neighborhoods back in Black Forest, Colorado. So with that, I'm at 37 minutes. So I'm going to get back, finish my Hoarders episode, and then after my episode, I'm going to get back there into that kitchen area, start getting the rest of that stuff out of there so I can get ready to rip that floor out and get to the water line, and got to make progress. So hope everybody had a great weekend. I hope everybody's having a great summer so far, a great 2023. And remember, there's no time like now to make progress. And with everything coming up, you might want to start thinking about homesteading. And the number one reason why, if you have not heard, is the U.S. government. Not only do we allow meat glue, if you guys haven't heard about meat glue, but they just authorized lab-grown meat to go into restaurants and stuff like that in the U.S. So I had a feeling, and I've said this for several months, actually a year and a half now, that I think this fall, around November, we're going to see some issues with food. And I still think that's going to happen. Yep, pink slime, meat glue, yep. But with them coming out with lab-grown meat, look at the GMOs and all that type of stuff. It's not good for you. There's been some new studies on salad mixes and vegetables. They're spraying vegetables with a certain sealant now to get rid of the plastics. I forget what that's called, but that's not good. And then a lot of the salad mixes and stuff are testing for highly dangerous levels of pesticides and herbicides. So I don't know about you, but I'm definitely getting my garden done this winter. So come spring, I'll have seeds in the ground and some good food going in my belly. Something to consider. Now with meat, I definitely think I might start butchering out some of my animals and not buying meat from the stores, because you're not going to know the difference. So remember back during World War II, the government was encouraging people to have gardens, to have chickens, to do their part as a patriot to help with the situation. Right now, government's not asking you to have a garden, have chickens, things like that. They're doing everything opposite. It's not about you surviving anymore and succeeding. It's about you being attached to the teat of the government. And we're going into some scary time, guys. So you just might want to think grow some veggies, grow some meat, and do something. Yeah. Well, talking about McDonald's, you want to look at KFC. I just found out, somebody messaged me yesterday that KFC is one of the main restaurants that are taking the lab grown meat. Um, Harrison, Arkansas just put in a KFC, and we have Chick-fil-A that comes down every Monday in a trailer, and I'm going Chick-fil-A, and I look, they're not doing it, but KFC. I was gonna go KFC, but now that I know that they're doing the lab grown meat, definitely ain't going to KFC. But yep, McDonald's and everybody else, they're all jumping on board with that. So everybody, y'all might want to do some research and get your hands dirty. Get in that dirt, grow you some food, and remember, like always, live happy, live free. That's the only way to be. Have a great week. I'll see you guys on the next video.